Well, in these economic times, many of us are counting our pennies, trying to get back to something our parents and grandparents have done for years, save. I know I used to laugh when my frugal grandmother would hide money under her mattress, saying she was saving for a rainy day. But my next guest says Grandma was right. James Ward has written this book. It is called Wealth Virtues, in which he says using Benjamin Franklin's 13 virtues can lead to a cycle of positive wealth and savings. James joins us this morning as part of our book author series. Good morning to you, James.
Good morning, Danielle.
So it seems Grandma was onto something, huh?
I think so. In fact, Benjamin Franklin actually had a quote that said, if you are to gain wealth, you are to think of saving as well as getting. So your grandmother really was on the right path.
And so how can Benjamin Franklin's virtues help us in modern day America in terms of saving and creating wealth?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, he wrote these for himself on a voyage back from England when he was in his 20s. And he wanted to put together something for himself that allowed him not just to succeed, but really to look at the way he wanted to improve his life continually over time, day to day. So when we look at these virtues, for example, we'll take frugality. That is an easy one to start with, only because it is that virtue that allows us to kind of prepare ourselves to make good decisions on whether or not we want to spend something, whether or not the balance of wants versus needs. Order is a very interesting one because it allows us to prioritize things that we want to either purchase or not purchase. I think another one to look at, of course, is humility. A lot of people tend to forget that, but it is that thing that we inside can say, we know we fail sometimes, and it's okay. Sometimes we'll fail, but you learn from that and you go on.
And so these virtues, then you're saying, can help us create kind of a cycle of positive wealth?
Well, the cycle of positive wealth is a tool that I created, basically a decision tool that allows people to make better financial decisions, empowered with the use of Benjamin Franklin's virtues.
Were you a Ben Franklin fan growing up?
I guess I was, and I've read his biography, but he certainly is a fascinating man, and certainly one guy to actually listen to, considering his success, his personal as well as the notoriety he has historically.
Sure, absolutely. Let's talk about the personal a little bit, because I know in the book you talk about how you found yourself in a challenging financial situation, and it was one that your wife had to rescue you from. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's interesting. When we were first married, we were pretty deep in debt, probably around $20,000 to $30,000 in just credit card debt. I would also say that we probably had a significant car loan, and I look at that as things that I brought to the marriage because of the decisions I was making at the time. Didn't necessarily follow what Franklin was recommending. I didn't have those in my hip pocket, so to speak. So one of the things my wife Linda told me to do, she said, you need to turn that $450 a month car payment into something more like $250 so we can take the balance and start paying things down. We work now as a team to allow ourselves to really take a look at our wants versus our needs. And then, of course, with our three children, our three girls, I want them not only to succeed like we feel we have with our financial future, we want to make sure that we're not a burden on them, and then use those same teachings from Franklin's virtues to help empower them to be, not having to end up in debt or to be successful in whatever they want to pursue.
Yeah, it's a good life lesson. And I have to tell you, there are so many books out there that say you can be a millionaire tomorrow, just follow these 10 easy steps. Your book is different, and your definition of wealth is different. How so? It
is. And when I first started writing Wealth Virtues, I wanted to keep one thing in mind, and that's simplicity. I think so many times people get wrapped around the axle and thinking they have to be at this level of wealth of Bill Gates or Rockefeller. It's not like that. It doesn't have to be like that. So with simplicity in mind, I decided that my definition of wealth, and I think one to share with everybody, was the ability to take in more than you're spending, to acquire more than you're spending, and to save more than you owe. And once you get to that level of my definition of wealth, then people can proceed on to further their own definition, or to even become more, shall we say, prosperous with that, starting with that point.
So what about the person, though, who says, you know what, James, it's too late for me. I have already dug myself so far into a hole, there's no way I'm going to get out. Is this true?
No, and I encounter quite a few folks that say to me, it's just too hard for me right now, and I'm not the age to start. And it's not in the book, but one of the stories I relate back to them is a story of Harlan Sanders. Now, everybody, of course, knows him as Colonel Sanders.
KFC.
KFC. Now, he didn't start to even franchise Kentucky Fried Chicken until he was 65. So that it's one of those stories that people have that same reaction, like, oh, really, 65? So you're never too young, and you're never too old to start now.
I have to tell you some really good information. So, how you doing? Did the wife help you out? You guys are okay now?
Absolutely. We're doing much better, and in fact, like I said, we are a great team in terms of being able to handle our finances. And I think What's in Wealth Virtues will help others to become as frugal, but yet as wealthy as we have become.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, James, for sharing this good information with us this morning on the show. Appreciate having you.
Well, my pleasure to be here.
And again, the book is called Wealth Virtues. For more information on the book or James, please visit his website. It's wealthvirtues.com.